Hey guys, it's Maddie, and today I'll be sharing with you my November wrap-up. So November was another great month for me. I read 9 books this month. Last month in October, I read 11 books, so I've just been on a really good roll with reading lately, and that makes me so happy. There's something about the fall time. Every time fall comes around, that's when I read the most. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the weather that gets me in the mood. I have no idea, but I'm just super proud that I was able to read 11 books in October and 9 books in November, because that rarely ever happens. So going back into the stats, I read 1,791 pages, so pretty good. Read a lot of books, so read a lot of pages. 3 were released in 2012, 1 was released in 2014, 1 was released in 2005, so that one was pretty old, and I read 3 2017 releases, so pretty diverse group of releases right there. The oldest I read was in 2005, which was more than 10 years ago, 12 years ago, so wow. I read 5 contemporary manga, 2 nonfiction books. I never read nonfiction, so that is pretty much a first. 1 sci-fi book, and I read 1 contemporary book. All of the books I read this month were written by females, except for 1 was written by a male. I usually tend to read more books written by females. I want to make it a goal next year to read more books by males because I just need to diversify my authors a bit. All the books I read this month were a part of series except for 1. I've been tending to read a lot of books a part of series lately, so there's no surprise there. And all the books I read this month were young adults except for 1. I read 1 new adult book this month. Have not read new adult in so long, so I was really happy to get to a new adult book I really liked this month. And only 1 book I read this month was a reread. I've been trying to lessen my rereads lately since I felt like I've been rereading a lot of books lately, so that's why I only stuck to 1 this month. I gave 6 books 5 stars, 3 books 4 stars, so I had a great reading month overall, nothing below a 4-star rating. I participated in 2 readathons this month. The first one was the Read-O-Rama readathon, and I read 2 books during that. And the next one was the Scallywagathon, and I read 1 book for that. So I mentioned in October that there was going to be a lot of readathons happening in November, and I was like, I'm going to participate in all of them. I only participated in 2, but that's okay. I just was not feeling readathons this month, even though there were a lot, but I did get to 2 of them. Out of the 10 books on my original TBR for November, I got to 3 of them, so I really strayed away from my set TBR for November, which isn't good. So those were the stats for my November wrap-up. Now let's just get into the books that I read this month. And as always, I'll be showing the books in order from least favorite to most favorite book of the month. So my least favorite book of this month is actually quite a surprise since I've been giving all the books in this series 5 out of 5 stars. That is Ouran High School Host Club Volume 6. With this volume, I just didn't like this volume as much as the other ones, so this one just didn't hit the mark with me. I thought, because this is a reread, I thought I had given all of these books 5 out of 5 stars, but this one I just ended up giving 4 out of 5 stars this time around. It's just something with the first few chapters just didn't grab my attention that much, and it just wasn't as good as the other ones in the series, so this one gets a 4 stars. It's the least favorite book I read this month, but I'm still looking forward to continue rereading this series. Next is a manga I read for the first time, and that is Nisekoi by Naoshi Komi. I really enjoyed this manga. This one is about a boy who is the son of a Yakuza family, which means it's pretty much a mob family. And he starts school with this new girl who he does not get along with at all. They hate each other. So eventually this guy finds out that this girl that he hates is actually the daughter of a mob boss, and he is told that he has to date her so that the tension between their feuding families will be laid off because their children are dating, and he hates this girl. It is a very funny manga. I definitely want to read the rest of the volumes in this series eventually. This one I just really enjoyed. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was funny, it was hilarious, the characters are hilarious. It does have a love triangle though, which I'm not very keen on, but it was still a great manga. I would highly recommend it. Next, I read a Colleen Hoover book. I haven't read a book by her in so long, and I really enjoyed this one, and that is Confess by Colleen Hoover. This book is about a girl named Auburn who moves to this new town and she needs a job, so she runs into this art studio that is hiring, and there she meets Owen, who is a painter, and what he does is he paints things after confession. So someone will submit a confession to him and he will paint something inspired from that confession. It's a very, very cool concept. And there's some romance that goes down in this book. I really like this book a lot. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I did have a few issues with it. One thing was that I felt like some of the drama in it was unnecessary and could have been easily fixed if the characters just were smarter. So that really irritated me. I felt like the book was a little too fast-paced. I think this book doesn't cover enough span of time. Because of that, the romance came off a bit insta-love, but I still loved the romance in this book. It was very, very touching. I loved the characters. I loved Owen and the fact that he's able to paint things inspired from confessions. I think that's just so cool. Another thing I like about this book is that it has actual paintings in it, and these paintings are scattered throughout the book when they are relevant to the story, and it's just, the paintings are so pretty. She actually hired a painter to paint paintings for this book, and it's just really cool. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this book. I have been watching the TV show. The TV show is really good. I would highly recommend it. If you have read this book, I think it's a very, very good adaptation. There are some things that are different about it from the book, but I still really enjoyed the TV show, and I really love this book, and I'm looking forward to continue reading more of Colleen Hoover's books. These next two, I'm not sure if you would consider them to be books or legitimate reading material to put on a wrap-up, but I am counting them because I am desperate to meet my Goodreads goal, and to me, these read like books. So that is Reputation Volume 1 and 2 by Miss Taylor Swift. If you do not know, her new album dropped this month, which was the highlight of my month. Oh my goodness. If you have not listened to the full album yet, please do. It is amazing. I might just be biased because I love Taylor Swift so much, but she also released magazines to go along with the album, and she released 2 of them. So these magazines just have pictures in them, like, show a few of them. Just pictures of her, like what she's been doing for the last 3 years that she's been on hiatus from making albums, and the pictures are really cool. And at the end of the book, or the magazine, she goes over like behind the scenes of the Look What You Made Me Do music video, which is really, really cool. And you can see like it's accurate reading material. It has facts about the music video on it. And what I also love about these is that she put handwritten lyrics to all the songs on the album in this, and I love it. Her handwriting is so beautiful. So like that, there's So It Goes. And let me see. And Look What You Made Me Do is in here too. I know that's the popular one. I Did Something Bad. That is such a good edgy song. So I just really love these. Of course, I give them 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I couldn't imagine not giving it 5 out of 5 stars. These are both great, but I highly recommend them. They're expensive though. They're like $20 a pop for 2 of these, so just keep that in mind. But I really enjoyed them, and I'm just so happy that Reputation is finally released. I really enjoyed listening to it this month, and I loved reading these magazines. So next, I have a bind-up of 3 manga volumes, and that is Orange, the Complete Collection Volume 1. This manga includes the first 3 volumes in the series. So I counted these 3 volumes as separate books. So this is 3 books in one. And I really love this manga. I'd watched the anime a long time ago before reading this. So this manga is about a girl named Naho. And she starts receiving letters from herself from the future, telling her things that she regrets doing and asking her past self to fix these things. And one of those things has to do with her best friend, and something bad's going to happen to him. So Naho from the future is trying to tell her, you need to do these certain things so that this doesn't happen to your friend. This is a very emotional manga. I absolutely love it though. I recommend both the manga and the anime. The anime was great. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I actually really want to rewatch it. But the manga was great too. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it. This manga has actually been getting a lot of buzz for a long time, and I'm happy it does, because it seems like with manga on BookTube, no one talks about manga a lot. But with this one, a lot of people have been reading it, so that makes me really happy, because manga deserves more love on BookTube, I feel like. And I gave all the volumes in this 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I have, and my favorite book I read in November, I love this book so much. I'm so excited to talk about it, and that is Warcross by Marie Lu. Oh my gosh, this book. I can't believe I waited this long to read it. It came out in September, and I didn't want to read it right away because it was so hyped up that I'm like, I don't want to give into the hype and have these very high expectations while getting into this book. So I waited for the hype to kind of die down before I got to it, but I was not disappointed. This book was awesome. So this one is about a girl named Amika who lives in this world where Warcross exists, and Warcross is a virtual reality video game that's been around for 10 years and has become so popular. So in the opening ceremony of the Warcross games, she tries to steal an artifact from the game because she is super poor and she can't pay off her rent and she needs to, so she tries to steal the artifact to get money. But in the process, she accidentally glitches herself into the game and everyone sees her, and she thinks she's going to be in huge trouble because of this. But instead, the creator of Warcross named Hideo calls her and asks her to come to Tokyo and then hires her to track down this hacker who is trying to ruin Warcross. It is a great series. This is actually a sci-fi book, and I've mentioned so many times sci-fi is not my genre. I don't like reading sci-fi, but this was great sci-fi. I really enjoyed this one. I'm also not a video game player, so I couldn't really personally relate to this book because I don't play video games, but I feel like anyone who is an avid video game player is going to love this book, especially if you have a fascination with virtual reality video games. You're really going to enjoy this book. And I really liked how the settings were described. You really got to visualize the game of Warcross so easily because Marie Lu just has a really good talent of vividly describing settings. I really enjoyed that. I loved the characters. I loved Amika and Hideo and just all of them, and I would highly recommend this book if you have not read it yet. I also have a full review on this book where I go to more of my in-depth thoughts on it, and I'll link that on the screen if you want to check that out. But if you have not read Warcross yet, definitely do. I am telling you, the hype is definitely worth it. And I of course gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm actually kind of out of breath. I'm actually coming down with like a cold or something, and my throat is like really graggly, so I'm sorry if I sounded bad throughout this whole video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and let me know down in the comments what books you read in November and your favorite book you read this month, because I would love to know. And if you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos and wrap